Hi, everybody. I'm Chantel Grindle, CHRO at Bold Commerce. I'd like to welcome you to our little bit delayed, but our 5th episode of LinkedIn Live Off the Script. Can you believe it's already 5 episodes, Eric?
I think it's 5 episodes for you, but I got cut from a couple episodes, so I think I'm on episode 3.
Okay, well, it was very highly rated, so maybe you'll help with the viewership coming back. If this is your first time tuning in, Off the Script is our LinkedIn Live series that we launched last year to kind of give everyone a behind-the-scenes look at the culture and the work here that we do at Bold. But it's been a while since we've had the gang back together, so our last Off the Script was back in February. And we were fortunate to be able to travel to Austin for that one. We opened up the office, and I had a great sit down with our CRO, Mike Sanchez. That one is still available to view if you want to take a peek at it. We chatted a little bit about our expansion and then also how we were growing our sales and partnerships team. But today, I am back with our CTO and co-founder, Eric Beaujoli, and we're excited to have you back in the hot seat, Eric.
It's good to be here. So I don't actually know what's going on. I don't know that we're live on LinkedIn. I think we're live on YouTube, and it'll be follow-up posted to LinkedIn, probably.
Of course, the technical things the CTO gets right. Thank you, Eric. So it's been an interesting day. It's been an interesting few months. So many things are different than the last time we met with everybody online, like I said, back in February. Lots of changes for our merchants, lots of changes for our teams here at Bold, changes for our leaders and changes for us as well, you know, at work and at play. So we're sitting a little further apart than we normally would. We know that we have hand sanitizer readily available, but remember to cough and sneeze into your elbow, Eric.
I got thermal scanned at the door. I'm good.
Okay. Well, we are taking all the safety precautions here, just in case anyone is wondering. So maybe, Eric, today we wanted to cover a few topics, but maybe we could start off with talking about our merchants. So we know that with this global pandemic, there's been so many different adjustments for everyone, but maybe you can talk to how Bold has looked at some of these spaces and adjustments that we've had to make for our merchants and some of the things we've done and reactions that we've made.
Sure. A bunch of the different initiatives that we put in place, they kind of range, but a lot of the times we were either trying to help out merchants be more successful or helped out even like the consumers be able to get a discount because it's a trying time for a lot of people. A lot of people have been laid off in different areas. One of the initiatives that our marketing team put together was called #SpreadJoy. And it was really trying to encourage merchants to give the consumers, the shoppers, a little something back by giving a coupon code, #SpreadJoy, which could be anything from like a 5% discount to a larger thing. But I think it was well received, and a lot of our merchants actually went through with it, and a lot of other merchants that aren't even affiliated with Bold actually kind of joined with that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Another initiative that we really tried to focus on was for a lot of businesses that only have brick and mortar stores, trying to give them resources to move their businesses online. I know that we were kind of affiliated a little bit with the Offline to On initiative, but also a bunch of local shops in Winnipeg. One I can think of is the TCB, the Trans-Canada Brewery, helping them actually move their processes online. And I think they actually did a bunch of like local delivery and curbside pickup options. So those are a few of the things that we did for smaller merchants. I think there's another couple things that we've done for larger merchants that did have both retail and online presences. So helping them continue to operate their retail stores for things like curbside pickup while ordering online, as well as buying online. Wait, that's the same thing. And then also smaller like local delivery options as well. So that's a bunch of things that we've done. We've actually got a couple of merchants in the way that we're about to launch buy online, pickup in store options with. And then another initiative to help out local communities kind of strive. We put together more of a repository or like a directory for local businesses to post how they're dealing with COVID. Not everybody's fortunate enough to be able to move online, or it doesn't really make sense for a corner store to do that. But even just giving them an area to say, hey, we're now offering buy online, pickup in store, or sorry, not buy online, pickup in store, but maybe curbside delivery. Or like the corner store in town actually said, like, call us in advance. We'll pick your order and we'll bring it to your car, so you don't have to come in the store. You don't have to put yourself at risk. So those are a couple of the initiatives that we put together, and I think the team really came together. We put a little committee to kind of focus on how we're going to help
Right.
other merchants during this time. As you all know, like, merchants are our primary focus at Bold. So we want to make sure that we're giving them the resources and the capabilities to really succeed in any time. And I think this time, they needed a little bit extra focus. So we put those initiatives together.
Awesome. So there's a lot of things that you covered there. So there was the buy locally that we put together, so people could look in their area to see what merchants were available. It was the Spread Joy campaign through marketing. I know we helped many, like you said, businesses that weren't online get online so that they could continue to stay in business. Little unique setup for us today, but definitely once we do get this posted on LinkedIn Live or LinkedIn, you can ask questions in the comments. And Eric, if you'd be so kind, maybe we'll go back and answer all the questions that come up at a later date. But yeah, so many different things that we tried to be proactive with to help merchants, knowing that, or not knowing, I guess, how long this was going to go on for and just all the uncertainty. But we also have some merchants that really actually had a huge influx of traffic. I heard that, and maybe this was an exaggeration, but it was like it's Black Friday all over again for a few of our merchants. So wonderful that these merchants, had inventory and were able to support some of the essential needs. But was that an exaggeration, or how would you explain that?
So I'd go ahead and say that it's Black Friday is a thing that was said, but usually when we say it's Black Friday for us, it lasts a weekend or it lasts a week or a couple of weeks. But we've been going through Black Friday levels of traffic for 3 months now. A lot of people, with the shift from working at the office to working remotely, they have to set up a home office, or they need to buy school supplies for their kids because they're also teaching them at home. And I guess I should throw out a plug for one of our clients, Staples Canada. They're a good resource, and I love shopping. It's so easy on their site, probably because we built it or worked on building it. But I've used that resource a lot, and I know that they've helped me get a lot of the stuff that I needed. What was I saying? So Black Friday traffic, it's been crazy, especially, we didn't forecast, this pandemic, and we didn't expect this load in traffic, but, fortunately we have a great team in place, and we have built our apps in a very good way that we can just handle this influx of traffic on a whim. So I think that was good.
That's good. So for those of you that are just tuning in, I'm Chantal Grindle, the CHRO at Bolt Commerce, and this is Eric Beaujoli, our CTO and co-founder. We are here doing a bit of a LinkedIn Live or off the script, and it's great to hear so many of the different things that we've been able to help merchants with. And I think, as Eric was just plugging staples.ca, there were so many great things, though, about how the inventory that they had, and not only how they were able to help with probably lots of essentials that probably many didn't realize that they carried, thinking of most of them for office, but even I know our team here and how they were supported with their remote office needs and setup there. So why don't we shift there for a little bit? So at the beginning, I mentioned that it was a shift for our merchants, but then it was also our teams. And we did a few things different here to ensure that we could roll out remote work and ensure that our team was available to support the merchants and, be safe and also be healthy so that they could also continue working. So maybe you can tell everyone a little bit about how that happened here at Bold, some of our focuses, and the success we've had.
Sure. You probably were involved in a lot of these pieces as well, so feel free to add or criticize my rendition of this.
Okay.
Well, first of all, our merchant base is worldwide. So, as much as Winnipeg was pretty late to feel the feedback and Austin was pretty late to, feel the impact of the pandemic itself, like, we were hearing from our merchants early on, and that was giving us a lot of foresight and a lot of warning of, some of the things we need to do. Early on, we kind of came up with our own pandemic plan, making sure that we had, the proper systems in place. I think one of the biggest things that came out of that plan was making sure that we had, a lot of communication. And I think that we've done a really great job. You've done a really good job of communicating with the team on a daily basis, saying this is, the impact in Winnipeg, this is the impact in Austin, this is the impact worldwide, and this is how Bold is going to evolve to that. So we came up with a pandemic plan. And then later on, we built up a leadership group that would meet daily to talk about, how the pandemic is impacting our work, our merchants, et cetera. A lot of the initiatives that we talked about either came out of that group or, were brought into that group to discuss. But also we started talking about like, how are we going to evolve to working remote? So we did a bunch of things. The first of which is we said, should we test this out? To make sure that we had all the systems. A lot of our systems are cloud-based, and we have very little ties to the actual infrastructure in our offices. So fortunately, we did that test, and we found that there was maybe one or two pieces that weren't in place already for the actual, working remote thing. But I think within a week, we had hardened all that stuff out. But as I said, communication was important. So we did one test day. At the end of that test day, I think we had a town hall, and Ivan was up here, and he said, test day went well. Let's do another one on Monday. Mm-hmm. So, Friday was our first test day. Then we tried again Monday. At the end of Monday, we said, well, there's no reason to come back to the office, and we would rather, protect our teams and be able to properly serve merchants, and everybody being sick or everybody being exposed and adding risk is not really doing that. So, we decided at that point, to push it to the end of March, so that we started on March 13th.
Yeah.
And then basically we said, okay, we'll go till April. And I think since then we've all been working mostly remote, except for today. It's actually nice to see you in person.
You too. Thanks. No, that's so true. And I think that at the start of this, we realized that communication was going to be of such importance. And with all the uncertainty going on in the world, the one things we wanted to make sure is that as much as we could share certain information with the team, doing a test run that one day, and then making sure we had a town hall at the end of the day to tell everybody it was good, or find out, get feedback, and then tell them what was happening the next day. So those town halls we still have 3 times a week. We reduced our leadership meetings a little bit. But what I really appreciate is the fact that we are trying to share so much. I still kind of do those daily emails as much as I can to let everybody know the links to follow for the state and provincial, updates for COVID as well. So I felt that was, but one of the new things that we also had throughout this was hiring. So did we stop hiring at Bold, and did we stop onboarding people?
Well, the answer is no, Chantal, we didn't. I think we took a little hiatus just while we tried to measure the impact of the virus on our merchants and on ourselves, and we quickly discovered, a lot of these merchants were thriving in this situation, and we had to continue to operate as normal as we could and continue, our growth. So I imagine that your team probably went through a lot of change in how we interviewed, because we're doing a lot of remote interviewing now and onboarding. So I don't know, do you want to talk about some of that piece?
I don't know. I was enjoying going to Austin on a regular basis to do all of our interviews. So we switched to all of remote interviews, but the onboarding and training was probably the biggest switch for us. So just little bit of like, what are the tools that we're going to utilize? Is it Zoom? Is it Google Hangouts? How are we going to ensure that everybody has their equipment? Even in Austin, sending things, and shout out to AJ. I think he was doing some personal deliveries to people for a bit. And even here, just how we were going to ensure everyone had the tools they needed to do their jobs. So absolutely a little bit of a hustle, and I guess, trial and error, but the team's done a great job. I think it was just over 30 people that we've onboarded since mid-March there. So, and still we probably, probably 10 to 15 a month, we're still continuing to hire. So we still need to make sure we're making those connections and having great conversations. And it's been an adjustment, but hopefully everyone's weathering through it, and we're being safe while we do that too. Something else though, Eric, you mentioned, sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but I guess that's kind of what this is all about. We were talking earlier and you mentioned about OKRs, and I thought that was a really good point. And I'm not too sure if many realize that we kind of follow that philosophy or that methodology here at Bold. So could you share what you think about like how we adopted that OKR practice prior and sort of how it's working out for us now?
Sure. Well, I think for us, our OKR system is really a good way to keep our compass aligned across different teams. So individuals come up with their own objectives, teams come up with their objectives, and the company comes up with their objectives, and then we kind of meet as groups to make sure that there's alignment in what we're doing. So I think the OKR structure has really allowed us to split up and go to different physical locations, but still be working in the right direction and working together to accomplish our goals. I think that our Q4, which ended in April, it was really successful because of the fact that everybody knew exactly what was the most critical pieces for them. And shifting to working online, as much as we say it's all about communication, like it's really, really true. And making sure that, we're not relying so much on the water cooler conversations that happen at the office, and making sure that people know what's going on with regular touch bases and, company aligned OKRs and objectives and things like that really help make sure that we're all going in the right direction, even though we're not necessarily running physically together anymore.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because those key results and how we can get together and discuss them, keeping everybody aligned and focused on that. And while you were speaking about that, I thought about some other firsts for us. We did our annual reviews for the first time, all remote, utilizing some great tools from Culture Amp. We also started a whole new one-on-one process with our teams. And all of these extra things, they were in the roadmap prior to this COVID pandemic situation, but it couldn't have come at a better time, ensuring that we're still connecting with everyone on some very important topics.
I think one of my favorite points was when we were doing the Builder Summit. Like, it was supposed to be a Builder Summit at a hotel, everybody in the same place, presenters and things come in. I feel like we really did a good job of pivoting to have a really strong virtual Builder Summit. Mm-hmm. I was really impressed with the quality of everything that was output, and I think my favorite is going back to TCB, the Canadian
Trans-Canada
Brewing.
Yeah.
They made a special bold brew, so everybody got to choose whether or not they wanted a bubbly or a beer. But the beers and the bubblies were both bold themes, which were pretty sweet. So
yeah, that was good. And I think part of that, so for everyone watching, we shout out to our great video team here and marketing. So we casted everything, and we had presenters socially distant in this big atrium, and we had video streaming it to everyone. And then we've had lots of live chat rooms after and game rooms. So I think you guys were still zooming in with different group party rooms in the taxi on the way home. So, so good fun had by all. So speaking of fun, so this is something that Bold, kind of known for. I know when I started over 4 years ago, the first thing I saw was a really fun video of golfing and lots of great office activities, but not being in the office, it's a different element. So are we still having fun at work? How has our culture shifted? So I know that I get a view of you every day in your toy room usually, or your son's toy room. But, how do you feel about the fun that's happening at work, or the connection, and how that's changed?
I would say it's both of our toy room. We both play in it. I think
like you and the boys.
Yeah. Well, together but separate.
Okay.
I play Paw Patrol and he plays with the Lego, So I think our culture is a lot driven by the fact that we have great people. It's not necessarily the perks that we have, it's the ability to work with great people who like to have fun together. A lot of the things that happen are organic. A lot of it is also intentional. So an example of that is, although this is probably like an internet trend, like a lot of people started doing Fancy Fridays and, dressing up to make sure that, you weren't in your pajamas every day, or at least top up. I found myself in pajama pants a few days, which I've never done before, and it's pretty comfortable. So anyways, what was I going to say? So our culture team has really kind of gone above and beyond, trying to make sure that people are still able to connect, talking about what they did this weekend. It's not always business, because I feel like going from being at the office and then working remote full time, sometimes it's hard to disconnect and not be talking about work all the time. Like, if you're just in business calls all the time, you kind of lose that relationship with people. Mm-hmm. And I think our culture team has really done a good job of making sure, like, hey, what did you guys do this weekend? This Friday is Margarita Friday. Share the picture of your margarita that we're going to have. I think that was my favorite event, although my margarita looked a lot like a Scotch on ice, but but I think we've done a lot of good things, and trying to keep people involved in the community of Bold has been great.
Yeah. For those of you just tuning in, I'm Chantal Grindle, the CHRO at Bold Commerce, and this is Eric Beaujoli, our CTO and one of our co-founders. We've talked about a few different things here, starting off with how we, I guess, responded to the pandemic for our merchants, and now just chatting a little bit about how our team is keeping fun and culture alive. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments there, and we will get back to them probably at a later date. I think we're running tight on time. But, Eric, just to, finish off this topic about fun and culture at work, I think it's something that, we've gotten to see a little bit into everybody's personal lives a little bit more. So I joke and tease you about the toy room, but when your boys came in putting a pink feather boa around your neck one day and dressing you up, I thought that was great. And, some of the other things that we just get to see, I think about David Bilski with his math lessons. So recognizing many were also at home juggling, putting on different hats, teacher by day and, doing our merchant support by night at times. But yes, we had lots of different Bold employees, as we call them, builders, jumping in and being like, this is, David's was all about like the math and how it's taught out now. And it was like, okay, it was a good lesson for all of us. So some of these things that we go through at our town halls, but it was really nice. Another piece I think of concern was just the health and well-being of our team. So it was nice to see that as a company we responded to that. We increased our sick and personal days, up to 10 for everyone, and then even putting into place a 4-week COVID sick leave if necessary. So, we're very grateful that once, as you mentioned, like in Winnipeg, we have not been hit as hard, but we definitely have that option out there so that we're supporting everyone that they have that backup plan if they do fall ill. Currently, we're still mainly working remote, but if anyone feels the need to come into the office, we are with limited capacity, having people come in, as we recognize too, just for everyone's well-being, even including myself that is sharing a small home with a full family. Sometimes we need a little bit of a break or a change of atmosphere. So hence, I think why a few of us have come in the odd day. But, let's move on to the future of Bold. We recognize that is so much uncertainty, and we may not know what the future holds, but we do have some upcoming plans. So maybe you can share a little bit of that with what we have going on at Bold. Sure.
Well, I think with the uncertainty with Bold, we're fortunate to be in the industry that we're in, the abilities that we have to work remotely, and not, I feel like we haven't really felt a negative impact in the business. I think our uncertainty is like, certain box stores are saying that for Black Friday, they're not going to open up their doors. Everything will be online. So we have to adjust and understand what that means to e-commerce, what that means to our merchants, and how we need to be ready for, a significant increase in traffic or a bunch of different areas. So we're really trying to figure out, make sure that we have the best team in place. We're onboarding new customers. We want to make sure that we're prepared for them. We're prepared for their Black Friday rushes. So it's exciting, but it's a little bit scary as well because, we don't really know 100% what the future of e-commerce is looking like. I think I read a report saying that e-commerce people feeling comfortable buying things online has grown what they expected in the next 10 years would look like in the span of 8 months because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So like with that adoption of e-commerce, like what's that going to look like for a Black Friday? What's that going to look like on a Cyber Monday? Or I guess even just like August 1st, who knows what that's going to look like, because the way that the world has been changing in the last while it's been crazy and it's been exciting. So. Yeah, no, and you're right. So in the e-commerce world, feeling very fortunate, and I guess now I have heard your team, like I think starting at the beginning of July, they were counting down the days to Black Friday, and I was like, okay, overkill, guys, come on. But now I guess with that explanation, it really is important. So I'm glad to hear that we're preparing and moving forward with lots of great things. But you know what, Eric, I think that's about our time. I want to thank you, and I want to thank all of our viewers for taking the time to join us today. I want everyone to stay safe, happy, and healthy, and visit boldcommerce.com/careers because we are still hiring, and we would love to get your resume in there. We've got positions in Austin as well as Winnipeg, and most of us are still working remote. So if you are in another location, you just never know. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks, Eric. Bye. Bye.